Well, hello and welcome. I haven't been posting a lot lately. It's not because of anything in particular other than work and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, just trying to enjoy my life, enjoy, just summer in general. And yeah, had a pretty good night tonight at work, still in my uniform. And it's time for me to talk about the New England Patriots. Usually, this team is thought of as a contender because that's what we've known them as when we're watching football, especially for the kids that grew up in the generation I did, where we watched Tom Brady just win ring after ring, even when we were younger, as opposed to when we grew up and eventually went to high school and college. But Vegas does not have as much confidence in them as they probably normally would have. Part of it is due to a loaded AFC. They're in a division with probably the best team in the league in Buffalo. The Dolphins got a lot better adding Tyreek, and it feels weird for me to say this, but we are now in an era of football where not only are the Patriots falling behind the Jets as far as talent, the Jets, talent wise, are lapping the Patriots. The Jets added at bare minimum, three top 20 talents from this draft class: Sauce Gardner, Jermaine Johnson, and Garrett Wilson. And it's kind of just, I don't know, weird that, they drafted a better cornerback than anybody on New England's roster. They drafted a better edge defender than anybody in New England's roster. They drafted a better wide receiver than anybody New England has. And they also drafted a better running back than anybody New England has with Brees Hall. And the Jets now, at a position by position breakdown, have probably the edge over the Patriots at most of the positions on their rosters. And the reason I'm comparing New England to the Jets and talking about how much better the Jets roster is now is because the Jets are usually thought of as the AFC bottom feeders. The theme of this offseason being how a bunch of teams overinvested into firepower. The Patriots are going to fall behind if they can't figure something out. I'm pretty sure there was a stat about Bill Belichick where he was the only GM in the league to go a 5 to 6 year period without drafting any Pro Bowlers. And I forget if that's the exact number of years, but point still stands. He is one of the worst GMs in the league at collecting talent and has been for a long time now. And let's compare the strength of the Patriots as opposed to other great teams in the AFC. I'm not even going to bother with the AFC West. I don't even need to cherry pick or look at those teams' rosters and tell you why each team is better than New England. Um, let's go to the AFC North. Baltimore, you're just obviously not better than, Lamar and his whole supporting cast. You're not better than Cincinnati with Burrow and a skill position weapons and an up and coming defense. You're not better than Pittsburgh, as crazy it is to say. Just once again, skill positions outdoing this team at running back, wide receiver 1, and even wide receiver 2. With George Pickens. I don't really think there's a question in my mind as to if Pickens would be the best pass catching weapon on New England because it's too obvious that the answer is yes. Cleveland, I mean, this depends on how much you weigh the Deshaun situation. Obviously, the Patriots are not better than a fully available 53-man roster provided Deshaun is available. I don't know. I'll let you determine how much you weigh that portion. The Titans, once again, this is a team just full of straight ballers. Honestly, reminds me of New England, but just a lot better. You have a bunch of B-plus players, but the talent is just too overwhelming. Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, Traylon Burks, Kevin Byard. Even though this team did lose A.J. Brown, it's still not really even that close, in my opinion. Closer than the rest of the conference? Sure, close enough? No. Colts, you're just not better than Matt Ryan and everything that team has to offer as well. JT is the best running back in the league. Another team with a great O-line, but this time Matt Ryan is the difference maker for me. So the Jaguars and Texans, and honestly, I don't think these teams would even be remotely close to good enough to compete with New England, so well done. You have definitively a better roster than Houston and Jacksonville. And since I've just gone on a tirade and talked about how much talent this roster doesn't have, Mac Jones is your quarterback of the future, but is that a good thing? Did he win games for New England last year? I mean, I can't really say either way, but if he does this year and it is definitively correct within the process, I'll be happy to eat crow. Let's put this in perspective. They won a game last year against one of the best teams in the league where he threw the ball 3 times. And to be honest, they're pretty dang lucky with how that game was set up, with the frigid temperatures, with the wind, that their opponents were a Bills team that has had virtually no rushing attack in the Josh Allen era. They leaned on some big plays from their running game, and the only strength of this team relative to the rest of the conference is offensive line. Cole Strange and Michael Onwenu are going to be the guards. Isaiah Wynn and Trent Brown are going to be the tackles. You have David Andrews in the middle at center. And basically the common denominator between this unit, it's all either first-round picks or guys who just simply have performed at the NFL level. Nothing more, nothing less. This team's coverage guys are not good at all. And of all guys you lost in this offseason, you happen to lose J.C. Jackson. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't a J.C. Jackson truther to begin with by any stretch of the imagination. But he's kind of somebody you had to keep in a division with Elijah Moore, Jalen Waddle, Stephon Diggs, and the Dolphins and Jets just adding Tyreek Hill, and as previously mentioned, Garrett Wilson. Your secondary is absolutely depleted, and what are you going to do? Are you going to have Terrence Mitchell cover Tyreek Hill one-on-one on those deep routes? And Hightower is fine against the run, but he's not that good in coverage. This team doesn't have an elite pass rush. It doesn't even really have that good of a pass rush. It has all right defense, and we haven't even talked about something yet. Considering this unit is the highest paid group of pass catchers in general in the NFL, so including wide receiver and tight end, it is just absolutely laughable that Devontae Parker is your projected wide receiver 1. Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, Devontae Parker, I could go on and on. You used to have N'Keal Harry. Those were the guys spearheading this wide receiver group, along with Jacoby Myers, who, he's fine, but do you really want him being even your first or second option on a team? Hunter Henry, alright, whatever. You kind of got me there, except the Jonnu Smith signing has already looked like it's going to be an unmitigated disaster. Just zero value given from that contract in the first year. We'll see if he turns it around. Now, given all this, I'm not saying that this team is going to be 0-17. No, I'm not. There are pieces to this team that I am semi-excited about. I like Ramondre Stevenson. I like Christian Barmore. Judon, I think, is an alright edge. And they have the greatest defensive mind on the planet as well, coaching them. That's why this team will find themselves hovering around 500, maybe a little worse. Belichick is still going to flush their young quarterbacks. He's going to rout a solid AFC team 52-10 at home like they usually do. But I'm not expecting much if I'm in the New England area this year. I know a lot of my best friends up there. They don't really have high hopes for the Patriots as well. It's just gross. The days of Tom Brady are long in the past. The roster isn't good. Their days of being feared are long gone. And we're now entering this era of Patriots football where they're just going to fall behind. Bye, folks. Thank you very much. That does it for me. I'll see you in my next video. Peace.